This episode is brought to you by Pepsi Wild Cherry. Pepsi Wild Cherry is bursting with delicious cherry flavor and a sweet, crisp taste that gives you more to go wild for. Getting wild may look different these days, but whether it's opting for a solo Friday binge watch or a big night out, everyone can indulge in their wild side with Pepsi Wild Cherry. Also available in Zero Sugar. So grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Hi, this is Ben, Sam and Harry from the Late Breaking F1 podcast, and you can follow this year's Formula One season with us on the Sports Social Podcast Network.
We're here every single week to bring you race previews, reviews and our opinions on everything from the F1 world, with plenty of fun along the way.
Listen to the Late Breaking F1 podcast now, wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Red, your lunchtime catch-up on all things Liverpool FC and your daily reminder that the Reds are still top of the league and Carabao Cup winners and still in the FA Cup and, because of last night, looking like a very, very good bet for a quarter-final spot in the Europa League. Liverpool went to Prague and beat Sparta 5-1 on their home pitch. An Alexis McAllister penalty on 7 minutes that he won himself. A Darwin Núñez worldie on 25. Another outstanding Darwin Núñez goal just before half-time after a lovely pass from Alexis. A Luis Diaz goal on 53. And then a late Dominic Szoboszlai goal to make it 5-1. Conor Bradley had put through his own net just after the halftime break, after he was introduced for Joe Gomez. The Reds went with a strong lineup last night. Caoimhín Kelleher in goal. Gomez, Konate, Quansah and Robertson at the back. Elliott, Endo and McAllister in midfield. Gakpo, Núñez and Diaz up front. I thought most players had pretty good games. Kelleher had an outstanding performance, made a couple of massive saves. Thought Ibu was good. He had to come off. A little bit concerning. Jurgen says it was more precautionary, that he felt something, but it's not an injury, it's more precaution. So fingers crossed. Joe Gomez was withdrawn at half-time. Jurgen says that was pre-planned. So hopefully there's nothing untoward there. Joe had a bit of a tough first half, but he had some really good defensive moments. Jarrell Quansah, again, bit of a tough first half, but second half looked much more assured. Andy Robertson had an absolute stinker. He was an absolutely atrocious display. And every time they attacked, they went down our left, and he was out of position, including for their goal. Harvey had another good game. His work ethic is incredible. His work rate last night was phenomenal. And he got himself 3 assists. Endo just very quietly drops another 7, 8 out of 10. Alexis McAllister's once again the best player on the pitch. Cody did not play well, but could easily have had a hat-trick. So, Darwin was a menace the whole game, or the whole time he was on the pitch. Diaz didn't play well, but he got a goal, and that's confidence-boosting for him. Virgil came off the bench and just did Virgil things. Dominic came off the bench and grew into the game and started to look like he was finding his confidence. Massive one as Mo returned and scored, but had it ruled out for a very, very questionable offside. A very, very questionable offside that I'm not sure was offside. I feel like they were just giving Sparta a little bit of mercy. That would have made it 5-1. And I think they were thinking, well, at least if it's only 4-1, the second leg might be a bit meaningful. At 5, it's done and dusted. I think he was robbed of a perfectly good goal. Bobby Clark came on and played very, very well. And Conor Bradley obviously came on at halftime and barring putting the ball through his own net, had a good half. All good, all promising. As long as the Ibu thing turns out to be nothing, we are in good shape. And we are well set up for the weekend. Now, the hope has got to be that it's Bradley and Gomez as the fullbacks, because Andy Robertson was atrocious last night. And he has declined enormously. And people will say, oh, we won 5-1 and you're moaning. It's not about what we did last night. It's about his performance. Because if he plays like that against City, he's going to get exposed. He got exposed last night against a mediocre team that, nobody expects to knock us out. We should point out, though, they're not that bad. They did beat Galatasaray 4-1 in the second leg of their previous round to go through 6-4, I think, on aggregate. So they'd been 3-2 down from the first leg, and they won 4-1 at home. They finished above Real Betis in their group stage, so, not bad at all. But the issue is, if Robertson plays like that against Phil Foden's going to have a field day. It's not about what happens in one game. It was the same crap with Lovren over and over again, where he'd have these stinkers, but we'd win. And people would cry that you were pointing out that he was playing crap, and then act surprised when he played crap and cost us a game. Andy Robertson right now isn't good enough to be starting for us. This season, he's been outperformed at left back by Joe Gomez and by Costas. Last season, he was really poor. And he ended 2021 in poor form. And everybody remembers the Champions League final. Robertson is declining. He has been an incredible player for us. He's, if not the best, one of the best left backs we've ever had. And we've had some great ones. Nicol, Kennedy, you can go back further if you want to Jerry Burns. But he's been incredible, but he is now declining. And he has declined a significant amount. And it's why come summer, replacing him is going to be a priority. And it's why come summer, if there is real interest from a Bayern Munich, we should be encouraging him to go and talk to them and consider that move and get as much money as we can. We can't have another Henderson, Milner situation where we allow a player to get old on our books, where we're paying them massive money and they're holding the team back. Can't have it. And yes, we're top. He's only played 14 league games this year. He's missed half the league games. It's a big part of why we're top. It's because Joe Gomez came in and was unbelievable, because Costas came in and was outstanding. Robertson hasn't been good this season. He's had a couple of good games for sure, but on the whole, he's having a bad season. And it's concerning, and it's a shame, because like I said, he has been absolutely phenomenal for us. And that had always been a problem position. If you grew up watching Liverpool in the 90s, through the 2000s, the early part of the 2010s, left back was always a problem for us. Stig Bjornaby was inconsistent, to be nice. Rob Jones was probably the best option we had there, and he was a right back. Gregory Vignal looked promising, never developed. John Arnorisa was inconsistent and questionable defensively. De Sena was De Sena. Aurelio was always injured. And Albi Moreno was a lunatic. So left back was always a problem. I mean, John Flanagan played there for an extended run, for fuck's sake. Left back was a problem for 26 years until Robbo arrived. And he solved it. And he was great for a bunch of years. And he's probably a top 4 left back in Premier League history. Irwin 1, Cole 2, and then it's a question. Is it Robbo? Is it Evra? whoever else you want to put into that conversation, I would lean to Robbo as the number 3. But there are cases to be made for others. But I still think overall, when you look at body of work, being able to do it at both ends, Robbo would edge out Evra better going forward, about the same defensively. Much better defensively than Leighton Baines, as good going forward. Didn't carry Baines' goal threat because he didn't take free kicks from shooting areas and didn't take penalties. But obviously got far more assists. But Baines was really good. Azpilicueta, when he played left back for Chelsea, was outstanding, but Robbo's better going forward. Aspie's a bit better defensively. You know, you go up and down the years for the Premier League, there's been a lot of really good left backs. But the only two you can say without question were better than Robbo are Dennis Irwin and Ashley Cole, who are arguably two of the 5 or 6 best left backs to ever live. Great win last night. Important win last night. Sets us up well for City. Means we can play a heavily rotated team in the second leg and prepare ourselves for United in the Cup. Go there and win. Then we're in the semi-finals of that competition. And we'll have beaten United, which is, you know, that alone is masterful. On This is Anfield, there is live coverage of the press conference that Jurgen is doing ahead of City. There is the last word on last night's game. There's a few other bits and pieces on last night's game. Erling Haaland and Virgil have said nice things about each other. Trent has said that Liverpool trophies mean more than City's, which is obvious because our trophies are won honestly and theirs are the result of cheating. And nobody cares about what they do or what they've done because everybody knows that they've cheated. Erling Haaland said something along the lines of, "Oh, I've been here a year and I've already won a treble." Trent won a League Cup this year without playing in the final. And it meant more than your treble last year. So just be aware of that. Liverpool journalists clear up club stance on Xabi Alonso. See, I don't believe any of them. I don't believe any of the journalists. And the reason I don't believe any of them is because why would we? It's very clear none of them have real insight. None of them knew that the club had spoken to Jurgen in November and Jurgen had told them, "I'm going to leave." None of them knew. We didn't find out till late January. It's only 3 months later. Because he told them in early November. We found out in late January. And none of them knew. And now you want me to think that they know exactly what Liverpool are doing in terms of the managerial hunt? Not a hope do they know. Not a chance. I don't think Alonso or Amorim are going to be all that open to talking to other clubs right now. Because they're both trying to win titles. They're both still in Europe. They're both chasing cups. I just don't think either of them want any distraction. Now, Bayern are obviously trying to create distraction. Part of that is they're trying to throw Leverkusen off this season. They're trying to gazump them and win the league title despite being 10 points behind. That's part of it with Bayern. The other part of it is this is just how Bayern operate. They're very loud, they're very noisy, they're very rude, and they're very ignorant. And they're just a bit nasty in how they go about certain things. And they want it known that they're the bigger, badder club and that they're going to take the manager off plucky little Leverkusen if they want to. That's just how they operate. They did the same thing with Nagelsmann. Leipzig made a little bit too much noise and then Bayern started to make much more noise. Because that's what they do. They want all the attention on Bayern. All the media inches on Bayern. And I don't think we operate that way. So I would imagine we have reached out to the agents of both managers and said, look, here's the situation. Jurgen is leaving. Your client is someone we're very interested in. And when he's ready, if he's willing, we'd like to have a conversation with him. And there'll have been some back and forth with the agent to find out if there would potentially be interest from their side. And then it just becomes a holding pattern. It just becomes a matter of waiting while we do other things. And one of the things we're clearly doing is trying to bring Michael Edwards back to the club. And Paul Joyce reported yesterday that Edwards had face-to-face talks with FSG in America recently. That is the third round of talks, at least. It's the third round that we know of. And I've said this from day one. FSG do not waste time on things they don't think are possible. FSG, if they're spending all this time and all this effort trying to convince or trying to get Michael Edwards back, they know he's interested. So the denials, the Edwards has no interest, the firm no, all that stuff that was reported was all bullshit. Because he wouldn't still be talking to them if it was a firm no. And they wouldn't be continuing to go through this if it was a firm no. So I think that's going to happen. And there's the other reason why none of these journalists have any idea who the next manager is going to be. Because Michael Edwards will ultimately be the one that makes that decision if he takes that role. He will have the final say. That will be part of his remit as the sporting CEO. So it's very easy to say Alonso's the front runner and play the odds, because the odds are that he could end up being the next manager. He's definitely going to be on a shortlist, but the odds are he is going to be given strong consideration. That's what journalists are playing. They're also playing to a fan base who is demanding that Alonso return because he's a former player. Because too many people are allowing their hearts to overrule their heads and not looking at the bigger picture of who the best manager is. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I trust that the club will do the due diligence on all candidates. And there's, whether people like it or not, there are 6 or 7 really good candidates out there. And I trust that the club will take a detailed approach, do the due diligence, speak to all parties involved, gauge level of interest, and conduct a proper search and ensure that the person they appoint is, in their opinion, the best option, not in the opinion of Twitter, not in the opinion of uninformed journalists, in their opinion. Anyway, huge game this weekend. Fingers crossed. My nerves have already started. It's not great. It's not great. I think it's the biggest game in Klopp's tenure. The biggest league game. I do, because he's leaving. And a win here is just massive. Just absolutely massive. On AnfieldIndex.com, there's a piece about Joe Gomez. There's a piece about Michael Edwards. There's a piece about last night's game, which, like I say, was a bit mental. We were exposed defensively a few times, but the outcome was what we were hoping for. It's a piece about Darwin, a piece about Ibu and the concerns there. There is a post-match Raw, which was originally meant to be Trev, myself, and Carl. Carl had to step out because of work commitments. So Jim Boardman stepped in, and then Trev had to drop out because he's under the weather. Do send your regards to Mr. Downey. When you get a chance, give him a message on the Twitter there and let him know how much you're missing him. And Guy Drinkle stepped in. So it is Guy, myself, and Jim. And that's all I have for today. I will see you all on Monday, where hopefully the Reds will still be top of the league. And hopefully we'll have beaten Manchester City and established a 4-point gap on them. And then we don't play in the league again till the end of the month, and neither do either of those teams. And then those teams play each other. And potentially we come out of that weekend looking in very, very good shape. We could be 4 points clear of Arsenal. Is it 4 points clear of Arsenal we'd be? Yeah, 4 points clear of Arsenal and 6 points clear of City if they drew. And that would be ideal. That would be the perfect way to end this month. So I'll end this podcast. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
Sports Social Podcast Network.